So, quick reminder. It's a weird one, right? And there's some rough mastering on it just to stop it peaking and stuff. Anyway, you get the idea. Weird intro. It's horror noises. And all that stuff. So yeah, the drum. So I'll run through it top to bottom because I think what I did was start with this weird sub sound, which is a really low sub, but it's got like processing on it. So if I take that off and the EQ, the reverb, it's just a sub that I've built. And it's just got a really long tail. Glitch FX VST. Yeah, I've used a couple. I can maybe cover them in a bit. So this is basically just a low, well, it's a square wave, but it's got, you know, a cutoff, and there's not a lot to it basically. It's just a kind of deep sub sound. There's some reverb on it, and then there's also this like drum snow thing, which is, what is this? Spectral resonator, which makes it just sound super spooky. And then I put automation on the amount here, the unison amount. Which just gives me that kind of intro sound. I've called this stutter sub, but there's basically like, yeah, I use this stutter effects called stutter edit. So this is like the glitch edit. I built the thing that does this, basically. I built this kind of preset for it that stutters the sub. So that's what that does. And I feel like maybe one of them should have been turned off. Yeah. Anyway, basically one MIDI channel has to act as the control for that, so it puts the MIDI sound in and the other channel ends up being the audio output. It's a bit confusing, but ultimately, sure, it makes that sound. Alongside that, we've got various different like bits and clunks and stuff. Which are all just reverbed, and they're coming from various places. We've got a little bit of percussion at the start. I say percussion, it's like horror noises or something. And all that's sitting on there is an EQ to take the top off. We've got this sound here. So that's a big boom with the reverse, and then some glitched out percussion. So that's the intro. So we get to the stutter part.
What's going on?
Oh yeah, well that's where the track name comes from. It was just a...
What's going on?
So this is a great little... Love that sound there. And with that as well. Ended up sounding like a wee sort of half a beat starting. And then yeah, we get into kind of the main, the meat and potatoes, if you will. So we've got a pad happening in the top, still in tune with the sub. We've got still got some reverb sounds. We've got more of a beat coming in. And there isn't, like, there's no high on that, but there's not really any kind of kick in there. So if I combine that with a kick as well. And then, I don't know why, but I just kind of wanted to use this weird strum sound. So I just threw it in. And it feels a bit like a false start on the whole, like the start of the drop there, which would normally be at like the 33 mark. It's just as you're getting into it, it does that weird.
What's going on?
You know, and the intention is it just sort of confuses you a bit, and then it comes back in with a full. And then that changes again after 4 bars into just kind of a pretty solid drum loop.
What's going on?
Just a little hat thing there. We've got this sound. Just a little clip of the beat, and then it drops into a different drum kick, which I combine with another bit of percussion, and then kind of bring in this pad sound to transform it into what ends up becoming kind of like a more, I don't know, hopeful sort of sound. So that is basically some nice positive sounding things. We've got some toms, some ambient sounds, similar sort of like percussion, just to keep it all kind of staying in the same area. Some weird glitchy transition-y bits. And then still the same sub in the bottom. So yeah, you get this nice kind of like this sample here is a great way to build up, because there's not really a huge amount happening for like 4 bars or 2 bars, and then it comes in and it becomes quite like a fuller sound, and then there's just that little reverse. And then yeah, the keys underneath actually made it sound quite nice. Without the keys you don't really get as much. And ultimately it could all be in the same key, but when you bring in the piano it changes. I think it goes up to the 5th semitone or something. Just kind of a bit where it floats and not really anything happens. Just build that anticipation.
What's going on?
So there's like, that's all held together by this kind of glitchy beat. And then you're back to what we had at the start, basically. For another 8 bars, and then it just tails off at the end and it slows right down.
What's going on?
And then that last thing there is I just took that sound and stretched it.
What's going on?
Because why the hell not, right? So yeah, that's the tune. Yeah, nice. Hopefully that was insightful.